WorldComEdu. Easy Story House. Elementary level.
Once upon a time, there was a husband and wife. They lived in a small cottage. The cottage was right beside a garden of a wicked witch. The garden had many flowers with beautiful colors and scents. Every day, they would sit by their window and smell the flowers. They would enjoy the beauty of the garden and say, "How lucky we are to live here!" But after some time, the husband and wife felt lonely. They thought they would be happier with the child. "A child," they said, "would make our life perfect." One summer day, the wife looked out the window and saw something wonderful. It was some purple Rapunzel flowers in the witch's garden. "I must have some of those Rapunzel flowers," she said to her husband. "Oh, please, I must have some to eat. Get me some right away, or I will die. Please, dear husband, get me some of those delicious flowers." The husband was scared.
"Are you mad?"
he said.
"I can't go into the witch's garden. I could get caught."
But his wife didn't care. She wouldn't stop begging. "Please, please, get me some Rapunzel or I'll die." His wife would not stop begging, so in the end he gave in to her. When night came, he quietly climbed over the witch's wall. He quickly picked a bunch of Rapunzel and climbed over the wall again. He gave the flowers to his wife. His wife made a salad and ate them all at once.
"Was it good? Are you happy now?"
Her husband asked with a smile. "Yes," she said, "but I want more, please. I'm even hungrier than before. I must have some more. Please, husband."
"How much more can you eat? It's very dangerous to steal from the witch,"
the husband shouted. But the wife didn't care. She begged for 3 whole days until the husband finally gave in. So when night came, he quietly climbed over the wall again. He was just about to pick a bunch of Rapunzel when a shadow fell across him. "What are you doing in my garden?" The husband froze in fear. He slowly turned his head. The witch was staring at him with scary green eyes. The husband started to shake in fear.
"My poor wife is sick. I was taking some Rapunzel for her,"
he said. Unfortunately for him, the witch had special powers and could see into the future. "Your wife is not sick," smiled the wicked witch. "She is hungry for Rapunzel because she is carrying a child." Suddenly, the husband forgot his fear and jumped for joy. The witch smiled wickedly at him. The husband's fear quickly returned.
"I am very sorry for taking your Rapunzel without asking first,"
he said. "Nonsense! Of course you must take her some. Take what you want." The husband was grateful. He fell on his knees and said,
"Thank you, thank you."
But the witch's smile turned to ice. "You may have my Rapunzel, but not for free. When your daughter is born, you must give her to me. I will be her mother." The husband started to shake again. He thought,
"I must agree, or the witch might kill me."
Also, He could hear his wife's nagging voice. Scared and worried, he promised to do as the witch said. The witch laughed a wicked laugh. She then told him to take the Rapunzel and go. So the husband picked all the Rapunzel he could. Then once more, he climbed over the wall to his own small yard. On the first day of spring, a daughter was born to the husband and wife. They were both so happy. They could think of only one name for her, and that was Rapunzel. But before little Rapunzel opened her eyes, the witch was at their door.
What do you want?
Said the husband and wife, with fear in their hearts. My child, said the witch. You promised. I am her mother now. The witch grabbed Rapunzel from the wife's arms and left. The husband and wife never saw Rapunzel again. The witch loved Rapunzel very much. In fact, she loved her too much. She didn't want to share her with anyone. So she hid Rapunzel in the house. Rapunzel couldn't even play in the garden. The witch was afraid the husband and wife would try to take her back. Rapunzel grew up to be a very beautiful girl. When she turned 12 years old, the witch could not stop looking at her. Look at your hair, the witch said. It's like a river of gold. No, it's even more beautiful than gold. She touched her own dry and dark hair and sighed. She then brushed Rapunzel's hair until it shone like the sun. The witch was always worried that someone would see Rapunzel and want her for themselves. She didn't want to share her with anyone. So she put her in a tall tower. She locked the door and covered it. Now no one could get in. It also kept Rapunzel from getting out. The only way into the tower was a small window. Every day, the witch would call out, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Then Rapunzel would lean out of her window at the top of the tower and lower her hair down. Her golden hair would flow down all the way to the ground. The witch would climb Rapunzel's hair like a ladder. And when she wanted to go home, she would climb back down again. Rapunzel had little to do in her high tower, so she entertained herself by dreaming and singing. She had a lovely voice and enjoyed singing. One fine day, a handsome prince was riding his horse through the forest. He heard Rapunzel's sweet voice and fell in love with it. He followed her voice to the tower. He looked for a door but could not find one. He wondered,
No one could be in there. There is no way in.
And yet he could hear the lovely voice. The prince was just about to ride away. Then he saw the witch. She was walking toward the tower. He decided to hide among the bushes. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, she said. The singing stopped, and down came a waterfall of golden hair. The witch climbed up it. The prince was amazed. Now he knew that someone was up in the tower. He couldn't wait to see who it was. The prince hid his horse in the forest and waited in the bushes. After some time, the witch climbed down the golden ladder and disappeared into the forest. The prince came out of his hiding place and walked toward the tower. It was almost nighttime, but the prince wanted to see who was in the tower.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
He called out in a high voice, and the waterfall of golden hair came flowing down. The prince quickly climbed up. To his great surprise, he found a beautiful young girl. She stole his heart away, and Rapunzel was expecting the ugly witch. But to her great surprise, she saw a handsome young man. Rapunzel never saw a man before. The only person she ever knew was the wicked witch. She had no idea what a prince was, and she didn't know true love. But she was very happy. They talked and laughed together until dawn. When he left her, she knew that her life was changed forever. She realized she couldn't live without him. The prince came the next night, and the next, and the next. After 5 nights, he knew that he loved her deeply.
Rapunzel, will you be my wife?
He asked. Rapunzel had no idea what a wife was, but she answered, "Yes, I will."
But this tower is no good.
He said,
I have a fine palace just over the hill. That's where we should live.
So they made a wonderful plan for Rapunzel's escape. They had to be very careful. The witch couldn't find out. Every day, the prince brought her some silk. All day long, Rapunzel wove a ladder for herself with the silk. As she wove, she felt closer to freedom. However, Rapunzel made a terrible mistake one day. The witch climbed up as usual. And Rapunzel said carelessly, "I always know when it's you coming. You're so much heavier than—" She turned white and put her hand to her mouth. The witch slapped her hand away. "Heavier than what? Heavier than who?" she yelled. Rapunzel knew the witch's powers and so told the truth. "Heavier than the prince." "You wicked girl!" the witch screamed in anger. In a wild rage, the witch pulled back Rapunzel's golden hair and cut it off. Snip! The witch found the silk ladder. She made Rapunzel climb down it. She sent her out into the wilderness with nothing. Rapunzel was alone in the forest to live or to die, and the witch no longer cared. That same night, the prince came to take Rapunzel home with him.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
He called. This time, the silk ladder came down, but the prince was excited and didn't notice. He climbed up quickly to look into Rapunzel's beautiful eyes, but instead, he looked into 2 scary green moons. "Ha! Your pretty songbird flew away," she cackled. "So fly after her." She cut the silk ladder. Snip! The prince fell down and down. His fall was saved by a bush. But the thorns poked his eyes and blinded him. The prince got up and wandered into the dark forest. He kept walking until he could no longer hear the witch's laughter. The prince wandered blindly for many months. He found nuts and berries in the forest and ate them. Exactly a year and a day later, he walked into the same part of the forest as Rapunzel. She recognized him at once. With joy, she ran to him and put her arms around him. Tears of happiness fell down her cheeks. The tears washed the prince's eyes, and like magic, he could see again. He took her home to his palace, and they announced their wedding. They had a beautiful ceremony. Everyone came to celebrate with them. And the prince and Rapunzel lived happily ever after. As for the witch, well, she may be still in the tower.